I decided to make this video today. This video is basically going to highlight people with a license versus people with skill. Now you can have a license and have skills, and you can also have a license and not have any skills. So you don't even have to have knowledge to have a license. What a license means is that somebody purchased a license. Basically, there's a test that you take, very simple test, anybody can do it, and it costs money, and the person does have the right to charge a little bit more money because they have to be insured to have a license. Now, that being said, that does not give them the right to price gouge people. That gives you the right to charge more per hour because, of course, you need to cover the cost of your insurance. So paying somebody with insurance should be more money, not paying somebody with a license. But together, they go together, basically. A license goes together with insurance. You need a license to have insurance, and vice versa. I'm making this video today is because the person that built this railing, which is a really simple job, it's really just tapping downwards into the concrete. Really simple job, shouldn't take more than a few hours, right? So here's the first problem that we look at. There's a pressure treated lumber down here, and the person actually used tap cons. So if I pull this out, you can see right here that this person forgot to put it on and kind of just broke it and shoved it around the corner. And you can see right there that he used some metal brackets, okay, used some strong ties, and then he put two tap cons, Phillip head tap cons, which I believe only go up to about 2 inches, or 1 5/8 actually, I think they are. So these are definitely not long enough and definitely not deep enough to hold this post in. And that's why it's completely wobbling. I mean, this is not even straight here. So you can see at the bottom, this is not straight. For one thing, those screws definitely aren't long enough. And they probably already broke the concrete. Since this concrete is a little bit old, I would definitely use a wedge anchor to put these in. There's no reason for this to be shaking, especially with somebody with a license. The second visible problem that I see is that clearly here, this post should have been back a little bit further because these tap cons are a little bit close to the edge here. The third thing that was wrong is there is a railing here, yes, but there's no railing over here. And in order to be up to code, which is the reason why this was put in, is because you need a railing over every surface that's a certain height. So not only did they waste all this money, two simple pre-built fences. It's completely wobbly. I mean, you can see that it's visibly crooked up there and down here. This one is mildly stronger. You know, I would not trust it though. If I was falling off of this, I would not trust it to put my hand here. I mean, after a while, it would just fall apart. So my job today is going to be to put a new post right here. And, you know, we have to be careful because we can see that this concrete was not poured very well, you know. So we have to keep in mind that we need to cut back a little bit. We can't be too close to the edge. And again, you can see those 4x4 pressure treated in here, cut very short. And there's an easier way around this. I'm going to show you guys. So the first thing I'm going to do is unwrap pre-built fence. You want to keep a little distance from the house just to keep the water from getting molded behind the pipe. Right, now we've got the top marked. Mark the bottom. The blade I'm using is a Diablo Ultra Finish blade. It's designed to cut PVC and metal. Should have no problem cutting right through here. And because I don't like to leave a mess, turn on the vacuum. Hooks up right behind the miter saw there so that we don't leave a giant mess of white flakes. obviously we can use a hacksaw to cut this, but in my experience you never get a straight flush cut with a hacksaw, even if you measure it out properly. So now we have a nice straight cut on those pipes, and we can get the fence installed. This, you'd want to measure the distance between this side of the railing with this side of the railing, but we have this outlet here that's going to be in our way, so we're going to have a little bit of angle going back, so this part is going to be a lot wider than this one will be. All right, put this in, and then our pre-drill holes are in there already, so screw it right back in. You can see this angled clutch makes pretty quick work of that. And there we go, right back in there. And now we have our bracket there, so we can't see the screws that go inward. Next step is actually really simple. This piece just snaps right in. And that's to cover the screws that are on the bottom. And that's it. And now for the hard part, we have to put this metal post in. This is a kit. The kit comes with all of the stuff that we need to put this post in. So rather than using a piece of pressure treated lumber, which is not exactly the best way to mount a fence, we have these slide right on, and that's what keeps the PVC cover straight. We slide the PVC cover right over the top of this. And also, like I said before, that screw that goes straight through here will go tap right into this piece of plastic, which is how we mount the fence to here. We're not just screwing straight through hollow plastic. This is a nice piece of solid plastic, which gives us a lot more stability than just having, you know, a piece of PVC here. So the first thing I like to do is since we're not doing this one even and we have this outlet in the way, we're gonna have to do this by eye. So I'm gonna try and get as much space as I possibly can out of this. We're gonna butt that right up against there, and we can't forget that this is also crooked because of the fence that was installed before. So we're gonna get as much out of this as possible, and we're gonna make sure that the outlet is still accessible to the new homeowner. Okay. I'm gonna make sure that our brackets are still gonna go in straight. And a good way to make sure is I put this PVC up first so I can see how it's gonna look before I bolt it down. Because if I bolt it down right away, obviously we're gonna have holes in the concrete that we didn't need, and that's not always a good thing. So now that we have it lined up by eye, and again you can see if I back this camera up, you'll be able to see that the angle is a little bit crooked, and that's because we have the outlet in the way and because this other post is already installed. The next thing I'm going to do, since I have about the right area where I want this to be, and this is lined up pretty good, we're going to score where the edge of this bracket is right here for reference. Just do a couple of reference lines here, so that way when we're screwing it in, we don't have to have that in the way. So now that we have everything screwed in, now that we have everything ready to be screwed in, we can take our post out. This is the PVC cover that goes over the post. This is the post cap that goes below it. And this is our post. And that post lines up right where we put those pencil marks on the concrete. to worry about where we're going to drill. So just real quick, this post plate comes with this. This is actually for wood application, so we're not going to need this. But if you were to use this in wood, you would just put a couple of pieces of 2x8 underneath this deck, and then you would screw down into the 2x8s. All right, now we're ready to drill those holes, and I have a couple tricks that I can show you guys how to do that. First thing I like to do is I like to mark off where I'm going to drill with the pencil. I like to mark right in the center. And I guess the hardest part about this is making sure that your drill doesn't walk. You should use a punch so that your drill doesn't walk on you. It's okay if it walks like a little bit, but sometimes they get a little bit crazy and they start walking on you, so you really do need to use a punch for these. So if you don't have a punch, it's okay to use a Phillips head screwdriver. If you don't mind dinging it up a little bit, you're going to put it straight in and give it a nice tap. Just needs a couple taps, doesn't need to be that much. Just enough to guide the drill bit. Make sure you're right in the center of the hole. Push down nice and hard on the screwdriver so it doesn't move. Tap, 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 just like that. Should be good. So now that we have our taps in, we can blow the holes that we made. Now that we have our holes blown out, just take the pencil again. Go ahead and mark those holes just for reference. So now we have 4 small holes here so that we can guide the drill in without it walking. So you can see I have this 3/8. I have this 3/8 bit for this 3/8 wedge. But as time, these tend to get a little worn on the tips, and that causes it to walk. I find that if you have like a 1/4 inch or something similar in size, these tend to never strip because they're just so small and they don't get too hot. So what I do is I kind of drill a little pilot hole, 1/4 inch pilot hole first. So I'm going to show you guys a trick that I learned based on my own experience. I did not learn this from anybody or any videos or anything. I just kind of learned this myself. So we're going to start this 1/4 inch parallel. We're going to have the hammer drill with your hand firmly, and you're just going to kind of stay a little loose and let the bit start coming down. And then as you start drilling, you can just kind of grab the drill from the top, and then the other hand is going to grab the air compressor, and then you're just going to start blowing down into the hole while you drill, and you're going to see how fast this goes. And that's it. You can see how fast the drill bit goes through. That was an accident. Now that we have our pilot holes, this is going to be a lot easier. Just one of the reasons why I prefer the more expensive bit to like these classic ones. These are a little bit more on the pricey side too, but for the same price, or maybe a couple of those more, you can get these blue ones. And I suggest using these blue ones because I have never had a problem with these, and these always seem to just burn out before I even get down into the hole. Just a quick tidbit. Now I'm going to drill my 3/8 inch holes. And this should be really fast. Plug in my air compressor. That's it. You can unplug the air compressor. Now, I also have washers. Now these come with washers, but if you want to put an extra set of washers in here, you definitely can. The reason I like the Simpson Strong Ties is because they come with the bolts and the washers. Now just doing this is pretty stable, and once we start bolting those down, you see that as we turn this bolt, what happens is inside the wedge starts to open, and that causes it to be structurally sound when we start to do the wedge. But you can see just from turning it with my hand, it's already stronger than the other post is. By turning these with my hand, it's already stronger than the other post that the guy did with the Tapcons. And that's just something that everybody should know. If you're in this business, you shouldn't be putting Tapcons down into concrete. It's just stupid. So normally you should take a level to these if you're doing a whole deck, especially with wood. You take a level on that and make sure that that's completely level, because it does come with these plastic wedges that you can stick under there and make sure that it's level when you tighten the wedges down. But mine is pretty straight. Now that that's on, we have to slide everything back onto place. And you can see this is completely structurally sound. If this whole gate was built with these poles, we wouldn't have this issue to begin with. But then again, I wouldn't have to be here if the guy was smart, because he should have put this part of the gate in, because that's what his job was. That's exactly. Show you guys. Is a lot of people make this mistake. Even I from time to time make mistakes like this too. You're supposed to put this on before you start screwing everything in, and if you screw everything in and you have to take it apart to get it back down. Now the thing that guy did, he did that same thing over there, but what he did was he was lazy and he just cut the piece and put it on, and that looks like a shit. So we're gonna do it the right way, and we're just gonna slide it down before we screw it in. But again, everybody makes mistakes. It's just how you correct those mistakes that defines your character. And now it's in. Now for the grand finale. And that is how you install a nice structural rigid fence. This is how you don't install it.